Hey everyone, welcome back to the YouTube channel. This is the first video I'm recording in our new office space, which is really cool. We renovated our basement, and so now I have my own personal space dedicated to give you all the content about metabolism, hormones, weight loss, all the good stuff that you are here for. I'm super excited. We're gonna put some cool stuff on that back wall and make it look all fitnessy and give you guys a cool place to come watch some content that might be a little bit more engaging. So I'm really excited to deliver that to you all. And yeah, super pumped. Today, I'm here to talk about the importance of the three main macronutrients. And we'll talk about the fourth one, which will be a bonus at the end. Number one is protein, number two is carbohydrates, and number three is fats. And I think there's a lot of just like misinformation and bad information out there about all three of them, what the importance of them are, which ones to utilize to your advantage. And there's a lot of like people that talk about one or the other being really bad, whether it be carbs really bad or whether it be fats really bad. Pretty much no one out there thinks protein is bad unless they're vegan and don't believe in eating meat. But for the most part, even the group of vegans, vegetarians know that protein is important. They just try to get it different ways. And I think the bad information is people trying to push their agenda, which is a shame because really all of the three macronutrients are important for specific people based on your goals. So what I'm going to do today is break down what the importance of what each macronutrient is, and then what kind of person needs to utilize each one. Okay? And then again, we'll talk about the bonus at the end there. And so this channel and what I'm trying to help you guys with is all about improving your metabolism, rebalancing hormones, and using those two kind of mechanisms to lose weight and feel good about yourself again, and to maximize your health. And so I'm gonna talk about what the best way to kind of balance your eating is for that and how to use the macronutrients. Number one, the biggest thing is that there are so many haters out there for carbohydrates. And we have to just understand so we're going to start with carbohydrates, but we have to understand like what carbohydrates are important for. So what a carbohydrate is, your pastas, and I'm talking about refined carbohydrates here, but the ones that are not refined, the healthy carbohydrates like fruits and different vegetables and sweet potatoes and rice, and those things are all really good for us. And they're all often like thought of as the enemy and thought of as the reason why we're not making progress. And it just makes it really hard to stick to things because carbohydrates also happen to be the foods that are typically the most enjoyable, right? For us to like go out and have with friends and have pizza or, a pasta dish or whatever it might be for you. And so they're often thought of as like the enemy because of those foods that are considered bad. But what a carbohydrate is a food, a macronutrient that when you put into your body, it breaks down into glucose, which is blood sugar, right? That is kind of like the smaller piece of a carbohydrate is made up of glucose when it breaks down into your body. And then your body stores that in our muscles and in our liver as glycogen. However, if your muscles and your liver are full, the glucose in your blood actually will get converted to body fat and stored as energy. The main purpose there though, and that's why people think it's bad, right? Is because, it's going to break down into our energy stores are going to be full and it's going to be converted to body fat and I'm going to gain weight because I ate carbohydrates, right? And a lot of us know that that our weight does go up when we eat carbohydrates, but they are important for a large segment of the population too, because they are our primary source of energy. Right? Carbohydrates' main purpose is to give us energy. And so when we think about it that way, like they can be utilized to our advantage, especially if you're somebody who works out frequently. So in active populations, we use glucose as our primary form of fuel. So when we eat carbohydrates, they break down into glucose, they get stored as glycogen, they can be converted back to glucose and used as energy for us to perform our daily activities, right? Or our exercises in the gym. When you don't have a lot of carbohydrates, your energy gets really low. When you don't have enough carbohydrates in your diet, your energy can be really low and it can hinder your recovery, make you feel lethargic, a lot of other things. Like you need that energy to support the exercise you're doing. So basically, the more movement you do in the day, the more exercise you do in the day, the more carbohydrates you are going to need. So you can reverse engineer that. If you're someone who's sedentary, you probably want to dial back on the carbohydrates. If you're someone who works out a lot, you're going to want to bump them up. And that is based on the person and based on just like maximizing your results for what you're trying to do, whether that be gain muscle or lose body fat primarily is what we're talking about. So that's carbohydrates. They're often thought as the enemy, but they can really be used to your advantage to help you recover, have more energy so you can go out and perform the activities at a higher level. And then doing that will help you burn more calories in the end. And it's just a cycle of, doing these things. And there's a lot of other research that talks about how carbohydrates can help you with stress management and things like that. What we have to be careful of, and the reason why they're super thought as like the enemy, is because there's a lot of foods out there that are really, really processed, that are heavily carbohydrate based. And we tend to eat those things at times of days that we're not active. Like we have our, Pop-Tarts in the morning, or your late night snacks that are super heavy processed carbohydrate based, and you just don't need energy at that point. So if you're not in need of energy, of course it's gonna be stored as body fat. So you just have to use them appropriately surrounding the time that you're most active. And if you do that, you're gonna get the most out of the carbohydrates. So that's carbohydrates. For fats, what a fat is first of all, it's not the same as body fat, right? Like you're not ingesting body fat. It doesn't automatically turn into fat. We actually use fat for fuel as well. It's just our secondary form behind glucose. So fat is used for our long-term storage and our long-term energy source. So if you eat fat, it's going to break down over a longer period of time. It's going to give you energy throughout the day versus like carbohydrates are like quick energy. And fats are also super, super critical because they are the building blocks of our hormones. And so if you don't have enough fats in your diet, we often see low sex drive and just like hormonal imbalances because your body doesn't have enough to produce the hormones that you need. And it's important for the structure of your cells and all these other important scientific things that you don't really care about, but it is really critical to have fats in your diet. What I see most often people trying to lose weight though is that they dial back the carbohydrates and they just think that they can go nuts on the fats. And the truth is fats have the most amount of calories. So when we have high oiled foods, fried foods, and we just like pack our diet with fats, you're gonna have a ton of calories in the day. And that makes it really hard to lose weight because at the end of the day, the thing that matters the most for losing weight is that you burn more energy than you consume. And so if we are consuming a ton of energy because fats are very energy dense, it makes it really hard to lose weight. So, fats are really critical for your hormones, as a recap, critical for your hormones, critical for the health of your joints. I know I didn't talk about that, but like, joint lubrication and things like that. And they're really critical for a lot of things, but you have to be careful and make sure that you're not overeating them. That's the theme, is like, it's everything in moderation, right? And then everyone knows how important protein is. Protein is the building block of our muscles, and it's just really critical to like cellular function and transporting things from places in our body to other places. And it's just really critical to building your muscle mass, right? And maintaining muscle mass is one of the things that boosts your metabolism the most, right? If we have more muscle mass, we burn more energy on a daily basis because your body is trying to maintain that. And so protein is, out of the three, I would consider protein to be the most critical for a couple reasons. Number one, we typically are super low on protein. Like when I have my clients start tracking protein, it is the most telltale thing for them. Like right when I start, is like, oh my gosh, I am having basically no protein. And they think they're getting enough in, but you need more than you think. Our typical recommendation is like 0.75 grams to 1 gram per pound of body weight, of your ideal body weight. So like if I weighed, say I weighed 150 pounds, for example, I'd be trying to get close to 150 grams of protein. That's a lot of protein for most people to try to figure out how to get into their diet. So, there's strategies to do that and things like that. But the purpose of protein is that we replenish and rebuild muscles when we break them down. You break them down through exercise, you need protein to rebuild them, to come back stronger. And so, that's the primary purpose of protein, but it's a really metabolic macronutrient, and it helps a lot. So if you're struggling with your metabolism, like bump up your protein intake a lot. And I think that's going to be a big key for you. The other thing to think about too is when you eat protein, so when you eat anything, it actually takes energy to digest that food. So say I eat a carbohydrate and I eat 100 calories of carbohydrates. It's probably going to take me 2 calories to digest the carbohydrates, to digest the 100 calories of carbohydrates. I hope that made sense. But eat 100 calories of, let's say, pasta, it's probably going to take 2 calories to digest it. If you eat 100 calories of protein, it takes about 25% to digest it. So that's 25 calories. It's a lot more than carbohydrates. So you end up just burning more calories from the digestive process because it's a tougher thing to break down and process. And so, for that reason alone, it also it speeds up your metabolism. It just gets you to burn more calories because your digestive system is working stronger. So protein is important for a lot of reasons. And those are the three. I hope covering those three and the importance of each one was helpful. The things to take away, like carbohydrates should be used primarily around high activity times, like your workouts or, mostly for your workouts, or if you have a really labor intensive job, carbohydrates should be used around the activity and you'll get the most out of them. Fats and proteins should be spread out throughout the day. Fats being more like away from your high activity times, and protein really can just be kind of any time throughout the day. Fats are for long-term energy and protein are for a lot of things, but one of the main things is replenishing and rebuilding muscles after you work out so that we can recover and get back to the gym and work out again the next day. And those are the 3 macronutrients. There's a 4th one, which is alcohol, which is like the secret macronutrient. And it functions similar to a carbohydrate, but has pretty much no benefit. So it's 4 calories per gram, but really doesn't do anything for you other than convert testosterone to estrogen, which is not good. And we know that all the negative side effects of excess estrogen in our system, whether it be from like all the cancers that can develop and all these things, it messes up our sleep. It does all these bad things for you, right? So really, alcohol doesn't have very many positive things other than the fun it can create, in enjoyment with your friends as a social thing. But that's the 4 macronutrient. I usually have my clients count it as carbohydrates. So like if they have a glass of that's 100 calories, they would divide it by 4. That's 25 grams of carbohydrates that they count toward their day. And that's how we go about that. So hope that was helpful in terms of breaking down the macronutrients for you guys and teaching you about how to utilize them and like where each one can be in the day. So if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll come at you guys next time with the next video and we'll go from there. All right. Hope to hear you guys in the comments.